Welcome in. It is a final down at the Chrysler Center here on this Saturday night, and it ends up as an 87-50 win for Michigan over Southern Utah University, U of M versus SUU. And I'm joined by Jim Scarcelli, JS, and Scar in this one. Michigan was up by 29 points at the half, 49-20. So they bounced back in the game against Minnesota that nobody liked, but they had a hard week of, I don't know about a hard week, but they had a long week of practice and then came in and flexed their muscles today against the Thunderbirds.
Wouldn't it be nice, Denny, if there were a couple of teams like Southern Utah in the Big Ten? Wouldn't that be a beautiful thing? But, I tell you, Robbie Hummel said something. He had talked to one of the coaches, maybe it was Coach Isley, one of them. He said, the thing about losing 5 pros is the big thing you got to focus on as a coach is patience. Did you hear him say that? You got to be patient when you lose so many great players. But, hey, it's a good win. Jones got going. I said it early in the year that, we know Brooks can shoot, and we're hoping Houston can get it going. But Jones is a guy he's a proven scorer, at where he was before he came to Michigan. So he's a guy that, that can make the three and has got to, get his confidence going. He can be a regular 3-point shooter. We know Brooks can, and Houston's getting there. The other guys are hit and miss, Johns and Williams. Those guys are hit and miss. I don't know that we can count on them day in, day out, but that was good to see Jones get going.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest thing to me. Hunter Dickinson was awesome, and, the Southern Utah front line, they had nothing. Dickinson stood a full shoulder and head above everybody else. He had a half foot on everybody, but he went out and played like that. He attacked, dunked, ran the floor. He showed, his offensive repertoire there. He shot from up top. He's developed that jumper a little bit, and, he can throw that right hook up there. So we're used to seeing that from Hunter, but you're right. This was a Devontae Jones. If he can get it going, I don't know if it was lost in the loss to Minnesota, but, Devontae Jones was all right in that game, but he was good from the start in this one, and he was hitting threes and more confidence. He was passing the ball, hit a little bit more zip there. And if that can happen, Michigan's got a good front line, and, you're talking about patience and everything else. The one thing about it, because they've had some hiccups here, they have to win these 3 non-conference games that they have. Purdue, Fort Wayne, they'll be a big favorite. And I don't know about Central Florida going down there, but they've got to win those games because the Big Ten is so tough. If they split just their games in the Big Ten, when you're looking at them, they're sitting here at 7 wins. You give them 8, you give them 9. I know you don't like to do that because you're a coach, but you just start breaking down the Big Ten. They have to go 500 in the Big Ten, and they'll be right on the bubble when you're talking about the NCAA tournament, and they might need to win a few games in the Big Ten tournament to get there. So I know that's all down the line and everything else, and they needed to get back and just and play well. And I think they did play well tonight. And that the story is Jones.
Yeah, but you're right. UCF will be no joke. Central Florida that'll be a tough game playing on the road. That'll be a tough game. But I just wanted to follow up on Hunter. His outside shooting is good. And Hunter, I think the coaches have told Hunter, opposed to last year when you got double team, look to kick. I think Hunter is saying, you know what, sometimes I'm just going to try to split them and still score even with the double, where we didn't see that last year. And I think what's the sense of kicking it out to Diabate? It just doesn't do you any good. So he is doing that. And yeah, he better dominate tonight because there wasn't much size out there. But I see Hunter also defending better against the smaller, when he gets matched up against a smaller person, a forward, a guard. He moves his feet better. But I want to kind of talk about him and Brooks, though, Danny, for a second, because I think both of them, because the way teams are defending Michigan, they are not letting Brooks free at all. They never leave him at the 3-point line. Like tonight, I don't think Brooks scored much, but the big reason for that is they never leave him. When you have a scouting report on Michigan, I guarantee you the first thing they're all saying is don't leave Brooks at the 3-point line, and we're going to smother Hunter on the low block. So I think Brooks maybe gets a little frustrated. He gets out of his rhythm opposed to last year where he was getting so many looks. So, we need other guys to score so he can become more of a scorer. But I see that happening possibly with both Hunter and Brooks because they're getting so much defensive attention.
Yeah, it's hard when you're the man, and Brooks was able to play off of that last year, and you're right. He is going to be circled and underlined with the opposition here. I think that if you told somebody who didn't watch this game, you said, yeah, Michigan was up 49-20 at the half, they're up 29 points, you'd say, yeah, Dickinson and Brooks going to work, and that really it was the case for Dickinson. But if you look from 3-point range, 0 for 5 for Caleb Houston and Eli Brooks from 3 in the first half. The rest of the team was 5 for 11. So that was interesting. Keep talking. The producer's at the door again, Scar. So give me a thought there on
Diabate. I'll talk about Diabate for a second. I thought Diabate is they obviously started him tonight, and they feel he brings more to the table than the senior. But Diabate gives you defense. The kid plays hard. Diabate is what I like about Diabate is how aggressive and how much the kid hustles. I mean, you'll see him like we saw him tonight run the whole length of the floor and block a shot at the other end. So I just love Diabate's hustle, his aggressiveness. I know why they're going with him because he is a factor defensively, and he changes shots that aren't going to show up on the statistics all the time, and he creates turnovers. Personally, I wouldn't have him sit at the 3-point line. I just wouldn't even bother with it because I think it's, I think people are going to leave him, and it doesn't do you much good because they're not even covering him. But what I noticed Juwan is doing is he's playing both of them on the low block at times, and that actually gives you a problem because they got to have somebody cover both of them, and it frees up the 3-point line. But that is something that I've seen him do. Have both of them on the low block, but Diabate is a hustler. He's a defender. He's a factor that doesn't show up statistically with what he does, blocking shots and as a defensive problem.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And he's one of those guys that wouldn't surprise me. You get into the new year that he takes a big jump. I think that's what you're hoping for if you're a Michigan fan here as well. With the freshman, Diabate being one of those. I mean, the things that he's flashed, and if he can have more consistency there, I would also put Caleb Houston. They keep talking about him reclassifying, and you wonder what a really highly rated high school senior would look like in the college game. We're seeing it. Caleb Houston should be a senior in high school. Instead, he reclassified, so he's out here and he's making his way. I mean, he's big, but he's another one that you hope takes a big time jump when they get into the new year. I know you flip the calendar and the games are getting tougher, and you can say, well, it can happen sooner, but it's got to happen sooner than later. And I think 2022, when you just look into the second week of the Big Ten schedule, it gets more difficult for Michigan when you start looking at Michigan State and Purdue and Illinois, all those games in a row. So they're going to need those guys, and I think you start going through all of it. They're going to need Devontae Jones to play more like he did tonight. You get him and Eli Brooks, going there, and then finding a third guard, whether it's going to be Frankie Collins. You saw Kobe Buffkin coming in a little bit, and also, Zeb Jackson getting a little bit more burn. And, he's pretty talented. I don't know if he's not lost in the shuffle, but, those are a lot of guards. And that's why there was so much optimism in the preseason and really in the offseason, because you looked and, you expected the Jones to get in there and play more like he did tonight. Then you have all these other guys. You're thinking, man, what are those guys? And a 3-guard look ought to be all right, considering the talent that they have up front. But overall here, Scar, I know I'm going to ask you for a 3 stars in this game. I don't know how difficult that's going to be for you here, but this game here was Michigan using their size, and Devontae Jones flexing his muscle, looking like the transfer from Coastal Carolina that people thought, hey, he can shoot threes. He's pretty athletic. He's somebody that's a pretty good pass of the ball. So thumbs up on that side. When you go to your 3 stars, Scar, who are you thinking about here? Obviously, you got to think about Devontae and Hunter Dickinson. So I think the third one's going to be the toughest one for you. You want me to reach over the? You
know what, Danny? I think I know how I'm going to go because I really thought this kid is really improving. I'm going to say I'm going to give Hunter my third star.
All right.
Just solid, man. Passing, defending. I really like his defense. I think he's better defensively against the smaller guys. It looks like the strength coach really did a good job with him in the offseason. He looks faster. He looks leaner.
22 points and 11 of 15 from the floor. Number 3-star Hunter Dickinson. All right. Number 2-star.
I'm going to go Frankie Collins, Danny. This kid's getting better. He's getting more confident. He is an athletic kid. He can cover any guard in the Big Ten when he gets really, really situated and understanding where he's supposed to be defensively, because he has the athletic ability. He's just a better athlete than Brooks. He's a better athlete than Jones defensively. He can block shots. Yeah, he had a rebound today. He took it the whole length of the floor and dished. I really liked what I saw from Frankie Collins.
You know what else he did tonight, Scar? First time that I've ever seen him do it. He ran that running hook that Xavier Simpson made so popular. We've seen Eli Brooks do it a few times. So he did try one tonight. So I like that being a Michigan thing from the guards, and it's a nice little
maybe they pulled out the film. They pulled out the old Simpson film, but he threw a nice little lob to Diabate tonight. I just like he pushes the floor. He's defending without fouling. He's getting better there. He made a 3-pointer. But Frankie Collins is a kid that I saw the athletic ability in high school. I see it. He's getting better every week, man. And obviously Jones is going to be our number 1 star. That was great for him because I think he can be as consistent a shooter as Brooks if he really gets opportunities. Because now if we get both of those guys who we can really count on, because I think everybody else is kind of hit and miss. But we need to have 2 solid 3-point guys at the 3-point, and I think he can be just as effective as Brooks because he's done it in the past. He did it all last year.
Well, you know what, and that's a great number 1 star, and I'll give an honorary mention. If you're just looking at the box score, Kobe Buffkin, 4 of 9, ended up with 11 points, double figures off the bench. You know what made Michigan, they did lose a lot of talent and everything, but really, you go back to last year, they had the spacing on the floor. They were able to go down. They had the big man that demanded a double team and Hunter Dickinson, and then he passed out. And wherever he was passing, he had somebody that could shoot a 3 and could make it. And, they have to have that from Devontae Jones. They have to have that from Caleb Houston. They have to have that from Eli Brooks. And if they're going to, be in the top half of the Big Ten, that's what's going to have to happen. So
I'd like to look at the film again and see who was kicking and kicking it out to Jones where he was able to shoot. Somebody had to be penetrating. I don't know if that was Brooks or how it played out, but the one thing, and it was the strategy for the Thunderbirds. I mean, if you're going to fight over that pick, if you got good 3-point shooting, you got to stay in their back pocket and stay right on top of them. And it was pointed out earlier that they were going under those screens, which was leaving Devontae Jones. And until you start dropping them down, you're not going to respect the Michigan 3-point shooters, and that's going to happen to the Big Ten. They're going to leave them out there, and that's what happened. The Gophers were standing. They were saying, "Go ahead, Devontae, you want to shoot?" And that's gonna hit you in the pride and everything else. And tonight, Southern Utah took that strategy too. He keeps dropping them down. They're going to have to start tightening them up, which of course is going to open things up for other people. I should look at tonight's game. The Pistons they played at noon today. They're playing a back-to-back, but they've got the Heat coming in to the Little Caesars Arena, and a couple players and coaches from the Heat, at least Duncan Robinson, the former Wolverine, in the crowd. Eric Spoelstra, who was Juwan Howard's coach, and he was on his staff. It was good to see Coach Spoelstra there in the arena. And then also Tracy McGrady.
Yeah. Who my daughter, Jim, used to always say, I really like that player. He's my favorite. Tracy McGravy. She was like 5 years old. She liked Tracy McGravy. And I never stopped because, I like the name McGravy better as well. So,
that guy was a player. I'll tell you, he could be one of the top 10 players that ever played. I thought he was when he had a couple good years when he was healthy, he was outstanding. But how about Duncan Robinson? Man, we could talk about him. We could do a whole show on him. Just what he's the emphasis on the ability to shoot. If there's anything we're seeing with the Michigan basketball team is that you can be average on defense if you are a knockdown shooter, and that's why this guy's going to have a long career, boy.
Yeah, he just he's a great story, starting at Division III and then going all the way, to Michigan, going into the championship game, and then you're right, hitting the NBA right when that's what the game expanded, and teams were looking for guys that could be knockdown shooters, and he certainly is one of them. And he's seems to be a pretty humble guy. Every time I hear an interview from him, I love it. I like what he talks about,
oh yeah.
Knows where he's come from, all those kind of things. So.
I think, Danny, you play for John Beeline, you play for Juwan Howard, that's just ingrained in you, man. And for the most part, any Michigan program we have right now, there's no, you'll get stomped on with arrogance. They're not going to have it. One other thing I wanted to talk about that I thought was pretty good. I like our trap, our full court, half court trap. We actually had a 10-second turnover today. I think we're doing a better job of that without fouling. Obviously, this wasn't a great basketball team, but I still think it's good. We're getting better at it. The trap is good.
I'm with you on that. You know what? They sped up Minnesota a little bit, like when you lose double figures and everything, but it was a good strategy against the Gophers. We've seen them throw mixed defenses out there, 3/4 court, full court. Diabate, sometimes they put him at the head of that diamond. He's 6'11". He's got the great reach and everything else. He's super athletic. You can see that. You're right. And it paid off with the 10-second count. And it just takes team. You say chaos. You like to get the other team, out of the rhythm, kind of disrupt things, make them, have to work, maybe take some time off the clock, get them out of their set. And knowing that the Thunderbirds were a team that was top 5 in offensive possessions in all the NCAA, you knew that they wanted an up-tempo game. That kind of made them speed things up and take them out of what they wanted to do. So I like that. I like that strategy. I like the defense there for Michigan as well. I'm right with you. That's a good point, Scar. What else? Anything?
You talked about Zeb and Kobe. They just need time. They need playing time. They're both good-looking players, good athletes. You just wonder, can we keep all these guys around? How long? Because you only play 5 at a time in basketball. It's hard to get them enough minutes. But those guys both, I see great potential. They just got to play more.
Well, just 2 more games here in 2021. Tuesday, Purdue-Fort Wayne comes in. That's a 7:00 start, and then they won't play until the next week, until the eve of New Year's Eve. I'm just looking, Thursday. That's when they'll be down in Central Florida. So that's going to be a nice couple days. A little basketball on Thursday, and then, football game going to be played on Friday. And I know this, that with all the leagues here, you see it in the NFL. We're seeing it in the NBA. These COVID tests and, the restrictions now, this is back where cancellations, if you look just at the docket of college basketball games that were played today, bunch of cancellations. So they're going back to the testing and everything else. So I know the coaches and everything are on top of that. And it's just one of those things that makes it an additional challenge here for these players, because before, everybody, there was no vaccination. Everybody just had to stay and kind of put yourself in a bubble. Now everybody's like, hey, you can just go out. So while it's the same, it's a little bit different. But one thing that if you're just talking about sports-wise, Scar, that, this can get you off the floor. It can, cancel games. And when you're talking about the football team, they getting into a quarantine or some kind of bubble when they get down to Florida. I'm sure that they have talked about that, and they're already thinking about doing those kind of things. So all of that is in play over the next 2 weeks as well. Yeah,
it's all part of your leadership plan, your whole strategy. Your building, how you keeping your building clean. I've been going to practices, bowl practices for 35 years, and that's all shut down now, man. No one's getting in that building anymore. But I understand it. I get it. They're, Fort Schembechler is shut down. But anyway, hopefully, obviously those guys have a lot to play for. They're going to be smart. They're going to wear their mask and do what they got to do, because they got a lot to play for. But a lot of good things. Our team will go down to Central Florida, maybe go to Disneyland, have a good time, maybe go to a bowl. I imagine that trip was planned probably to stay a couple days down there when they go to Central Florida. I would imagine it's not just a one-day deal.
Let's go to South Beach. Man, that's where I want to go. All right, Scar, great to see you. We'll talk with you next week, maybe Tuesday, on the basketball post game. Take care of yourself.
All right, brother. Go Blue.
There he is. Sam saying go Blue as well. Thanks for watching. And